afternoon. Everybody got their lunch? Yes? Good, thank you.
It's a lunch coma. Everyone's like, yeah, we had a great lunch. Thank you.
All right, so as our lovely announcer mentioned, this is a super important, interesting topic for maybe, hopefully, how many entrepreneurs do we have here? How many of you are working or have a startup here?
Cool.
Good.
That's
good. And how many of you are looking to get investment for your company? Oh, is that even more hands?
There are investors who want investment as well, that's why.
All right, so without further ado, let's start discussing this interesting topic and see what we can. Maybe let's start with very brief introductions. Tell about what's your company and what kind of investment opportunities your company provides.
So my name is Tatiana. I work at Inventure. So we're a Nordic early stage fund. We do seed and Series A investments, which means basically in ticket size from 3 million SEK up to 2.53 million SEK, 30 million euros. SEK, sorry. It's always very difficult with all these currencies. But we do, in terms of domains, we look at B2B SaaS, mobility, connectivity, and quite a lot in health, actually. Should I clarify the ranges we do?
Yeah, do it again.
Yeah.
But in ruble this time. Just kidding.
So in ruble, it's no. In SEK, it's 3 million SEK up to 30 million SEK.
Cool.
Cool. Sïmon?
Thank you. How are you guys? Whoa, finally. Okay, so I'm Sïmon Saneback. I'm co-founder of Wellstreet. So talking about securing a first investor, then I assume we're talking about Wellstreet Ventures, which is our division investing in early stage startups, mainly within tech. We're doing everything from pre-product, so from idea stage up to around to a Series A. We just announced in the media that we're also planning to launch Wellstreet Capital, of which we're going to invest in tickets somewhere between 10 and 30 million SEK, to be exact. And in Wellstreet Ventures, we do everything from 0 to 5 million SEK.
Okay,
Was
good.
that clear?
Yes. So when you're like you're starting to get the feeling, okay, now we got this thing going and we need some money to grow this thing. What do you need to have ready to actually approach a professional investor? Like, we're not talking about your friends and family and other fools, right? But when you're actually moving towards like a proper angel investor or a venture capitalist, what do you think what do you want to see when the startup founders are coming to you? What do they need to have?
I mean, I think it's different if you go to an angel investor compared to if you go to a VC investor. So I'm thinking, since you guys do idea stage, maybe you should start with what you look for, and then I can go in and say what we look for in a VC stage.
Yeah, of course. But I mean, what we're looking for is just to make it very broad. That's regardless whether you have an idea or if you have an established company with dozens of employees. What we're looking for are tremendous entrepreneurs with great ideas and products that can improve user experience, or can improve, if that's on the retail side, that we're looking for technologies then that can improve the shopping experience, as an example. If you would take it down, if you try to kind of like find a couple of words, you would say that it's the team at the right timing, and then at the right stage. In the right markets.
Do you have to have product ready, or you said the PowerPoint might do okay?
Yeah, in our case, it's different stages that we have. So we have the seed and the growth, and then I mentioned the capital one as well for the expansion companies. So we're quite broad in that sense. But you don't need a product. In our incubator, you can join, and we can help you build your SRP or MVP or whatever you call it.
And I think for us as an institutional investor, what we need to have in place, it depends on the size of the round, obviously. But if let's say it's a seed round and of 10 million SEK, we prefer that you have, first of all, you need to have a committed team. Everyone is fully on board, not a side project, nothing like that, obviously. You need to have a product that is unique, and you need to be able to explain why it's unique. The business model needs to be there, at least have an idea of what the business model is and that it's scalable. And then obviously it's great if you have pilots, some type of validation of your product. So roughly.
Okay, and then how about like market research, market opportunity? Who are we gonna sell this company? Because of course part of that is like when you're accepting investor money, kind of it goes like that you have to understand what's their business model. What's the business model of the investor? Because that business model will be your business model too into the future. So how much do you look into that part then?
I didn't
Like meaning that
Research analysis.
like that they research on the what kind of when they prepare to get an investor, it's kind of promised that we're going to sell this company because investor
of course,
needs to be, or IPO is fine too, probably, but like
yeah, there has to be. I mean, there has to be an exit path.
Exit plan, exactly.
But then, and this is maybe depends on who you talk to, but I prefer not having too much discussions about the exit in a very first meeting, because end of the day you're doing this in the long run, and it will probably take you, at least if you take in your first investment, it will take you like 10 years until you're in exit phase. So yeah, it's good to have. I mean, we obviously internally discuss, when we discuss cases, we always discuss, okay, what's the business case for us? Who could be a potential buyer of this company 10 years down the road?
Okay, cool. And then how do you assess? How do you identify who's the right investor for you? Because there's lots of different investors. Even here, there's a lot of different investors. How can an entrepreneur identify? What kind of tools or mechanisms should they be using to?
I think it's a great question. I mean, for this event, I've been approached by companies that are within a vertical, for example, which we don't invest. So I think that there are the ones who do their homework, who check, and that makes it much easier, of course. And then there are the ones who are not, who haven't done their homework. So I think the first thing that you should do is like looking at, okay, which category or which industry are we working in? Who has invested within this vertical? Whether that is an angel or whether that is a VC, and then basically approach them, preferably by like a common contact, or if someone can introduce.
Like a warm intro is the...
Yeah, if you want some specific tools, as an example, you could check on Nordic Tech List or Nordic 9 as an example, who has invested within this vertical, and what have this VC or angel invested in before.
Yeah, and I totally agree with that one. It's quite important to do your research before. I mean, both in terms of what stage does this investor invest in. So if you're in a seed stage, maybe you don't go to EQT Ventures because they will never do, or I mean, I won't say never, but it's quite rare that they would do that. And for us, if you're only in the idea stage, then it's better that you go to Wellstreet, for instance. So that's the first thing. And then obviously, like, what type of competence do they have in investment team? Because we want to feel that we bring value to the entrepreneurs.
Smart money.
Yeah, obviously.
And you already briefly referred to that, what's the right way to approach when you have identified, okay, now I made a list of 15 relevant investors for me. Yeah. What's the best way to approach an investor you don't have any direct connection to before?
No, I think in our case, there are many of the companies. I think we've done 42 companies since we have established Wellstreet in the past 2.5 years. And most of them actually come from applications done on the website. And there are some referrals and some recommendations from our friends and co-investors. And but I mean, if you have done your homework and you have a great idea, you could just make an application online. Doesn't always have to be that you come through a recommendation or a person.
So cold calling is still okay as long as it's like you've done your homework, it's relevant and.
Yeah. Of course.
Yeah, I think VC needs to make a better job in being more approachable to everyone and not only to a certain type of people in that sense. So that's why, I mean, that you guys doing a great job on that one. And what we're trying to do is that we are very transparent on our website. We have our emails, our phone numbers. Like just give us an email, or I always reply to LinkedIn messages, etc. Because I think it's very important that everything doesn't only come through intros, because that's how you get a very homogeneous type of entrepreneurs.
Yeah, because obviously you have to go through a lot of different cases before making an investment decision.
Absolutely, yeah.
So that you need the volume of the deal flow. So it's kind of open doors, but be smart on which door to knock on, and then. When does what is the time that you feel that when the entrepreneur is starting their plan, or maybe they're playing a little bit on creating MVP, what's the right time to start thinking of getting the actual investment?
You want to start, Tatiana? No.
Yeah,
Go
that's better. No, I mean, I think that's also, I mean, it's a great question. It all depends on what type of investor you're approaching.
Yeah.
So if it's us, for instance, your first institutional investor, then have a product that is, I mean, you have a built product, a little bit like we talked about before. You have validation, you have like, this is what we want to do with the money, a clear plan with what you want to do with money. In terms of timing, I think if you know that, okay, we will need the money on our account within X amount of months, then start quite early. Like don't start too late. Sometimes you meet entrepreneurs that want to have a term sheet submitted within a month, and if it's our first meeting, that will never happen, obviously. So I would say if you can, like, go to these speed meetings at events, try to meet investors very early, or book coffees, like start discussing your ideas with different people, and then when you're ready for fundraising, that's when you actually book the real meetings with a prepared pitch deck, etc.
So basically start warming up beforehand, hey, let's talk, and then we can say that we are starting fundraising soon, or
Yeah.
Yes.
like, and then, okay, come back in 3 months or whatever. But the truth is that, especially when you go to post-seed rounds, it's going to take longer. A rounds take 12 to 18 months to raise. And whatever you think it's going to take, multiplied by 2 immediately, basically. So that's a good starting point there. But when you need the money, it's too late already. But kind of like when you don't need the money, you have to start raising the money, and the vice versa, basically. But prepare very early on.
Yeah.
If you think you're going to need money 6 months from now, you have to start today.
I fully agree, and this is has actually happened a couple of times where you have a fantastic company, but they want like, we're closing the round next week, so you better hurry up. I was like, I haven't
also,
even checked it.
Yeah, and I think it's very important to stress that usually doesn't work on investors, that you have a very, very tight schedule. Like,
No.
when we make an investment, we really want to make sure that we are a good fit for each other. It's a mutual thing. I mean, it's not only for us to evaluate you, it's also for the entrepreneurs to evaluate us and us as investors. So 1 week is usually not enough.
Speed dating.
Yeah. Okay, and then there was this timing, and then like going a little bit on these do's and don'ts. What are kind of like when you got the first meeting, what kind of red flags, what are clear red flags, and what are like those ways of on the other side of the table there, what really can impress you, that wow, you guys are this far, or you've done this, and what are like these red flags, and then the green flags? I don't know.
You can start.
I'll take this one. So I think in terms of red flags, when we have, so we first review the cases, and once again, it's depending on which stage where they are, and I think what is important now, we've mentioned do your homework a couple of times, but that goes also when it comes to the product, to the industry, to seeing the positioning of your company. And what I think is quite important is that the team is dedicated, and there is chemistry between the founders or the people who are working in the team, and they are really committed into doing this, and not like if we don't raise the funds, or if we can't do this, we'll just test it.
I'll get a job somewhere
No,
else.
I'm gonna do something else. Everyone wants to hire me anyhow, so it's fine. I've been in these kind of discussions
So
as
the
well.
passion has to show there.
Passion
That
is-
I'm
Absolutely.
Passion, timing of the idea is also quite important. What do you think, Tatiana?
No, I think in terms of what impresses me is usually, I totally agree with you with the passion, and that you really have a unique product. And with uniqueness, I don't mean that it has to be like a technical uniqueness. It could be the packaging, it could be the go-to-market, it could be anything. But you need to be able to explain why you can do this much better than anyone else. I also think it's very impressive when you really know your domain, you really know your market, you know the competitors. Not saying that you don't have competitors is a huge red flag. So that's definitely, I would say, knowing your domain is very important, and that doesn't mean that you need to be like, for instance, if you're doing a health startup, you don't need to be a doctor to do a health startup, but just like know what industry you're going to, how the market dynamics work, the stakeholders, etc. I think in terms of red flags, I mean, a couple of things that I've seen is that you have angel investors. Angel investors are great. I mean, the reason why we can invest in companies is because of the angel investors and companies like you. But what can be a red flag is when they own too much of the company at a very early stage. So we want to make sure that the founders are fully committed, that they own a majority of the company. And when I say majority, not 55%, like 80%. They need to own a lot of the company, because running a company is so hard. And if you by year 8 only have 10% of your company, then, or I mean, you might have 10% of the company, but it's still like, it gets very difficult. So that's a red flag, that you have a proper cap table with full commitments.
Yes.
So don't give out too big chunk of your company very early on, okay? Yes, good. Even you might want to feel when somebody's offering you, I'm going to give you 1 million, but I want 30% of your company. That's a shark deal, don't take that. You can see that in Shark Tank. And, well, okay, that's a TV program and you get a lot of visibility that might be worth taking from a shark, but not standard local deal, no.
Yeah, and I have one thing. Of course, a long cap table with a lot of small shareholders is not good, of course, but then I was thinking, like, what does turn me off completely in pitch meetings? It's probably like the slide where they talk about X billion-dollar industry, and it's like, if the industry is so fucking huge, pardon my French, I said the F word. So the industry is so fucking huge, I said it again. And if we take 0.1% of it, we're going to be so successful. We're going to be a unicorn. It's just
I agree.
Try to focus on your addressable market in the markets of which you're going to launch, in the region you're going to launch, and so on, rather than talking about how you're going to become, or another thing is, I'm going to become the Uber of something, or Spotify of X or Y. That's a turn-off as well. It was a trend for a couple of years.
Yeah.
But I must still say that, like, most, because we talked about coming prepared, I would say most of the entrepreneurs I meet are actually very well prepared for the meetings. Like, they have their deck, they have like an agenda, they know what to say, etc. So this is like the rare cases where they are not prepared. So usually I think it's most people prepare very well and have done their research as well.
Good. And then before we're going to actually this is a little bit homework for you. Start thinking. We're going to have a couple of minutes and we're going to have audience questions coming up soon. So start thinking. You have a rare opportunity to ask these amazing people here on stage. So start raising your hands in a moment. Before that, I will ask if you have any funny stories or some not so funny stories from meetings with startup founders coming to your table.
Yeah, I have many, but let me think of one. I think when we started, because we're entrepreneurs from the beginning. We're not from the VC world, so we said, like, we're going to meet everyone, every single person who wants to pitch us. They're going to get at least 30 minutes to do it. So we brought in so many people, and we haven't like reviewed them. We thought that we're gonna see that in a meeting. So I think in the first 6 months, was one pitch meeting that scared the shit out of me, where there was a married couple. So I'm not going to say the name of the company; they don't exist anymore. But so the husband was a programmer, very nice guy, very very knowledgeable, and then the wife was kind of the marketing and sales. And they started doing this pitch, and I asked technical questions. I got very good answers. And then, kind of like in the middle of the pitch, they started fighting. As the wife says, like, "Shut up! It's not this way. No, I'm the CEO of the company. You're gonna program what the fuck I tell you." I was like, "Oh, what the heck is going on? Let's wrap this up." And I had to kind of like, "Okay, so thank you very much. I will email you. We will be in touch." And yeah, so that was.
Are they still married?
I have no clue, but I had to kind of like push them out of the door at that point.
Take it outside, yeah.
Yeah.
Any more?
I met with a company, I just realized now, I met with a company which is a great company, but he started off the meeting with saying that he hates VCs. So he's like, "Oh no, I hate VCs, you just give away too much ownership to VCs and all you do is fuck us up, etc." And I was like, why are we even having this meeting? Should we just cancel? I mean, that's totally fine with me because I have it's a hectic schedule. So But then we still had the meeting, and then afterwards he called me and said like, no, actually, I didn't really mean what I said. I mean, some VCs are still good, but I had really bad experience. I mean, I understand that you have bad experience from VCs, but that's not the best way to open a meeting, in my opinion.
That's how guys pick up girls, actually. It's negging.
It doesn't work.
It's reverse psychology. It's like,
Negging.
you look so beautiful, but ugly shoes. It doesn't work. I've learned
Exactly,
learning by
doesn't work.
failing. It doesn't work.
All right, we have a few more minutes, so shall we? Does anybody have any questions in mind? Good,
Yes.
perfect. Let's get this.
Throw it at
thing
him really
rolling.
hard, please.
Yes, maybe I have to kick. Where are you? I kick it or I'll throw
No,
it?
no,
Actually,
don't kick it.
throw it.
Jason's
Okay.
going to let us pay for it.
Perfect.
Thank you. I have a question about dedication. Everyone is from VC side is always talking about dedication as working full time, but there are so many examples when people actually drive their side project or hobby project or pet project, whatever we call it, by nights and days during few years without being able actually to drop their daily job and dedicate their full time to the startup. Isn't this also dedication?
No, I don't know. I don't think so. No. So I mean, I think sure you can have. It's totally fine to have your side projects in terms of like running your company on the side and then do whatever you want with that. But if you get investors' money, then I think you need to be fully committed because we want to see the company growing. End of this is some type of exit. So yeah.
I can take it. Actually, this scenario happened 2 days ago. There was a fantastic company. I liked the idea. I liked the team. But they had like jobs somewhere else because they don't have funding. So this was their first round. So they don't have funding. So they had actually a full-time work somewhere else. And for my case, of course, I don't want to invest in someone who is not even interested in committing to their company. But then I have the understanding of they got to pay their rent and so on. And in that case, the discussions that we've had is basically that it's fine to have kind of like your side job, but we need to have a plan. And you're going to go, you cannot work full time, so it's probably 70%. And I need to see a plan where you go down to 50, 30, and so on. I'm not going to give all the money in one tranche, but then we're probably going to drop the money as soon as we see the commitment from your side. And then the money that is coming in from the consultancy business or from the work is coming into the company and paying out your salary. So kind of you're still working for your own startup. That's the way of seeing it.
Yeah,
that goes for the companies who are really, really early.
Yeah, and we don't meet the companies that are that early. So
No.
for us, then that's why it's a little bit different.
Yeah.
But yeah.
On the more seed side, no, it's a no-go. The team needs to be fully committed.
And I also think, like for me, it's a little bit about the risk taking. Like to start a company, you need to take risk. It's very difficult to succeed if you don't take the risk. So if you and I fully understand that it's scary, but I think when you decide to take in VC money, then you need to be able to take the risk.
Exactly. But the thing is, there could be certain limitations. People could
Speak louder, please.
I will try, okay. So there could be some real limitations and people could be ready for taking the risk in case of they get funding, for example.
Yeah, well,
Yeah,
that's
if
the
there's a
scenario you
plan-
explained, for instance, yeah.
Yeah,
So
there has to be a clear plan.
Yeah.
You're ready to take the jump.
Yes.
Yeah.
So in this plan, in this case, there was a couple of founders, and I said like the CEO needs to be full-time within 6 months. So it needs to go down immediately, and then we'll prepare for the next person to leave their jobs and come in again. But it's very individual, depending on the what kind of person, what kind of company, what kind of stage. There is another gentleman who
Perfect,
wants to
thank
ask
you.
a question. Thank you.
Yeah.
Hey, quick question. There is a lot of talks about industry investors collaboration within Nordics, for example, and a lot of kind of cross-border investment, this kind of stuff. Meanwhile, still investors do prefer to invest locally in the teams that they have by their side, that they can meet often, and this kind of stuff. So I wonder, how often do you invest into cross-border companies and somewhere that are based somewhere away from your office, and what is your experience about this? And do investors, what do you as investors think about this?
You mean investing outside of our home market?
Yeah.
Was that the question? Okay. Yeah, so we invest in the Nordics and the Baltics, all countries within the Nordics and the Baltics. We've decided that that's our main focus because otherwise it's very easy to not be focused if you focus on the whole Europe. So we're very open to. We do a lot of investments together with other VCs or other angel investors, either in Sweden, Finland, or outside of these countries in the Nordics and the Baltics. I don't know if I replied to your question there.
Yes. Do you have some local representatives in those countries? Where do you have the startups, or how do you handle this?
No, no, we don't. We have offices in Stockholm and Helsinki, but we travel. Part of the job as a VC is to travel a lot. So we're usually in the Baltics and traveling in the rest of the Nordics as well. We try to meet as many entrepreneurs face to face as possible, because that's the way to find the best cases.
Great, thank you. How about Jan?
In my case, we actually started with investing in Sweden. Now we're investing within Scandinavia. And we are experimenting. We're looking into like closed regions, like the Baltics, as an example.
Finland?
Finland is, I said Scandinavia, but then Nordics. Okay, we are in the Nordics now. We're investing in Finland.
Yeah. Then including the Baltics, called New Nordics nowadays.
Yes, that's a new term.
Bring their friends in.
Yeah.
Okay, unfortunately our time has run up, and but you'll be here after the panel, at least for briefly.
We will be standing here, so in case you have any questions.
If you have some extra questions, please come here and line up, and then you have to leave soon somewhere. But
but I'll be around.
Around for a little
you can
bit.
find me on LinkedIn or on our website. So just hit me an email or call me.
All right. Hey, thank you so much.
Thank you, guys.
you.
Thank you.